welcome everybody to the afternoon sessions. A bit more practical this afternoon, so we learned a lot this morning about brands and why they need to be thinking about this, and heard from some people who are doing some amazing work in this space from the brand side. As we go through the afternoon, we'll be looking at a bit more practical stuff. There's a session around accessible campaigns and a session around workflows. And dotted into that are some spectacular advertisements for you to watch and love and learn from. Starting with a marvellous CoorDown ad, Assume That I Can, and I'm pleased to be joined by Martina here from CoorDown. We'll show the video in 2 seconds, but just briefly introduce CoorDown and what you do, Martina, and then we'll crack on and watch the video.
First of all, I am a middle-aged woman. I'm wearing a black dress and black boots, and I have brown hair. And I'm smiling because I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. CoorDown is the leading no-profit organization advocates for people with Down syndrome in Italy. And since 12 years, on the occasion of World Down Syndrome Day, we produce a campaign of awareness about people with Down syndrome. And since 12 years. So, and we work with Luca Lorenzini, Luca Pannese, two creative guys that started working in Italy and such, and they moved to Publicis, and now they have their own agency in New York. So they work with us since 12 years. And today we talk about the behind the scene of Assume That I Can.
Cool. And we've got 2 videos to play. Martina and I will be joining them together, but Luca couldn't be here and Madison isn't here, but we've got interviews with them just so that you know. So, but first the video, and if you haven't seen this, this is great. We can play the video. Go.
Hey bartender, you assume that I cannot drink a margarita, so you don't serve me a margarita? So I don't drink a margarita. Your assumption becomes reality. And parents, you assume that I cannot live on my own, so you don't encourage me to live on my own. So I don't live on my own. Coach, you assume that I cannot hit harder, so you don't train me to hit harder. So I don't hit harder. And teacher, you assume that I cannot learn Shakespeare, so you don't teach me Shakespeare.
Old MacDonald had a farm,
so I don't learn Shakespeare. E-I-E-I-O. But hey, if all your assumptions become reality, then assume that I can drink a margarita. So you serve me a margarita, so I drink a margarita. Assume that I can live on my own, so I live on my own. Assume that I can hit harder, so I hit harder. Assume that I can learn Shakespeare. So, what fools these mortals be? I learned fucking Shakespeare. Swear, right? You assume I can swear, right? Assume that I can do that job. That I can go to parties. That I can have sex. That I can be on stage. Assume that I can. So maybe I will.
So, as you can imagine, that lit up all sorts of bits of the internet over the summer, and it's just fantastic that we ended up here on stage chatting to Martina and having met Luca and Madison, just to hear the story behind this. And just before we dive in, I guess one of the things to say about this is one of the reasons that's so good is that's an advocacy ad, right? That's not an ad for a phone or for some chocolate or other things that we're going to see. That's really a powerful message that comes from within the community that it represents. But it's got all those lessons in that all ads need to have about why it's authentic and how it lands so well. So that's what we're going to talk about. If you could briefly tell me about working with Luca, because we've got a little interview with him, but just introduce, you mentioned he's running his own agency in New York now, but you've worked with him for a long time.
Yeah, they start working with us for the first campaign 12 years ago. And they worked 12 years pro bono. I need to say that because it's really important, because we are a very little association, and we don't have enough funds to do such a big things. So we have a great ally. First of all, Luca, of course, but during our journey also production company that support us in producing this kind of campaign. And also you saw some logo from different associations around the world, because every year a new association for people with Down syndrome ask us to join for the World Down Syndrome Day video. So we are now a bigger community, day by day, year by year, from USA, from Canada, from Australia, from New Zealand, from UK. So different associations join us. So we are a little network now, and we keep working on this.
Cool. Let's hear from Luca and his perspective on working with you guys.
My name is Luca Lorenzini. I'm the Executive Creative Director and co-founder of SMALL, the agency that created the campaign Assume That I Can for CoorDown. We work with CoorDown since 2012. This video is made of many things that I really like. First of all, and probably it's the secret of its success, is the protagonist of the video, Madison Tevlin. All of our campaigns are born after many chats with our client, who's Martina. She's a client, she's a friend, and every year we start talking about what we can do for the next year. She's a mom of a person with Down syndrome, Emma, that we know very well. And of course, she lives every day with her, and she's also the president of the association, so she knows a lot of people with Down syndrome and families of people with Down syndrome. So she knows a lot about the opportunities, about the limitations, about the barriers. She's also very involved in the community, in the international community. So whenever we talk to her, she's very inspiring. And we always find together, but mainly they come from her, these insights that are really inspiring, and from which we create the campaigns that we do every year. After that, of course, we also talk a lot with people with Down syndrome. This year's campaign comes from an insight that was told during a speech by Marta Sodano at the UN, and she was talking about this concept which is called self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think that I will fail, then you will probably treat me like I will fail, and then at the end I will actually fail. But it's also true the opposite. If you think that I can succeed, you will give me opportunities, you will give me chances, and probably I will succeed. So the insight itself this year comes from a person with Down syndrome. Then also during the set, we talked a lot to Madison, for example. When it came to the execution of the campaign, we asked her what she thought about the script, if what we had written was comfortable for her, if she wanted to do something differently. So at the end, the result comes from a collaboration from us and from Martina and people with Down syndrome. Also because we believe it's very, very difficult to understand the thoughts, the problems, the dreams of a certain community if you are not part of the community. So you have to, in a way, you have to step back a little bit and listen. We are very proud of what we did with CoorDown during the years, and we hope that we can little by little break barriers. I think that we managed to help changing perspective of people with Down syndrome during the years, but we are still very far from the final goal. So let's work all together, not just when it's a not-for-profit campaign, but also let's try to include people with disabilities in our other campaigns as if it was something normal, because, there are many different and diverse people in the world, and everybody should have a place, not just in the world, but also in the way we represent the world, which in our case is advertising.
So there's a couple of important lessons there, I think, and you will hear this a few times, is working with the community. For anybody who's thinking about, how do I get this done? How does that come across? Obviously, there's 12 years of close working there. But there's still the fact that you had to draw people into each campaign. You drew in people around the scripting and the ideas and the casting. And you mentioned Madison being involved in the casting. We're going to hear from her in a minute. She's a proper superstar.
It's a fun fact about it, because when we discussed at the beginning of the protagonist of the campaign, we looked for a man. Maybe because of the bias, we talk about sex, we talk about alcohol, we talk about swearing, and we say, okay, man, no. So discussing with Luca, and Luca decided to not follow our bias and try to dismantle this. And when the video of Madison arrived, we said, okay, we have the right person. And we discuss a lot with her about the script, because we are always worried about not telling things on behalf of people with Down syndrome. Of course, I am a mom, but I'm not a person with Down syndrome. So I really want to check each word we use. So I asked Madison, are you sure you want to swear? And she said, yes, I want. So,
I asked her the same thing.
Yeah. So it was really important for us. It has been a long journey, because at the beginning we plan the campaign. We decide what to say or what not to say. And the insight came from us. And this year was a big turning point for us, because the insight came from a person with Down syndrome. And that's really amazing. And also we decide the content, the script with a person with Down syndrome. So that is representation, not speaking on behalf of someone.
Yeah. Let's see what Madison had to say for herself when I spoke to her.
I would love to tell you all about me. So my name is Madison Tadlin. I'm 22 years old. I have Down syndrome, and I always say it's the least interesting thing about me. I'm an actor, a TV show host, a content creator, and an advocate. This was the first campaign I've ever been in, but I've been in a lot of movies and TV shows before that. But this is the first campaign that I've really been in, and I loved every minute of it, being part of that experience.
And can you remember the casting process? How you got involved in it? How you heard about it?
Yeah, so I got involved with the small agency in CoorDown. They reached out to me for a few self-tapes, so I submitted them. And then they flew me out to Barcelona for a full 2 days of shooting, and it was a once in a lifetime experience for sure. When I walked on set, I didn't know what to expect. And when I was out there, they just made me feel like it was basically I was coming back home. And that's what I felt. They were really warm and loving, and they just let me be myself, and they let me just take the show kind of thing. They were also nice that they wanted to do all the stuff for me.
Nice. And let's talk about the ad. What did you think of the script when you read it? How did you feel about it?
That everyone goes through this, it's all part of life. And everyone should know that we're all the same, and we should celebrate our differences.
And let's talk about some of the things in the story inside the video. What's your favorite clip as part of that storytelling? Which bit really jumped out at you?
I really love this question, so thank you for asking. But definitely what I had to swear was my favorite part, for sure. Because not just me, I'm just me being myself. And I feel like a lot of people have captured from that. When I swear, they got captured to it and they were stuck with it. They connected with it. That everyone in life can say whatever they want, and that they all have the chance and opportunities to get what they want. And I want to keep ending those stereotypes.
Right. So you think it makes an important extra element that you might not like this, but I want to say it is important.
It's very important and very powerful.
So tell me about afterwards when the film came out and you started sort of seeing it online. What did you think of it when it was finished? How did you feel in terms of its impact?
Like, I really loved how everything turned out. When I watched it over and over and over again, repeated so many times that sometimes my mom would be, okay, Matt, are you really watching this again? I just watched it already. I'm like, it's on repeat every single day. And my grandparents, my family, my friends are all supportive of everything that I do. So when they saw this too, it made me feel like I'm actually wanted, and I'm finally being seen and heard by so many people out there as well. That is making a big difference in the world, and then a lot of people are connecting and really resonating with it, and how everyone can reach their full potential. Not everyone with disabilities, but everybody else out there too.
Nice. And when you think about what CoorDown does and the work that they're doing, particularly around Down syndrome, how does it connect in your own experience in sense of living and growing up with Down syndrome and looking at what they're doing? It's great that it's got that impact.
I want to say they're doing a really good job of really showcasing a lot of different people, and that we're all the same. And we should focus on our differences and celebrate them every day.
So Madison, what's next for you?
So I have so many things that's going on right now, but the next big thing in my life is that I have my own talk show. It's going to be a podcast called 21 Questions, and it's really getting the heart of people's stories and really knowing who they are on the inside and out. And I get to interview so many incredible people, and I'm so excited. I have some people confirmed already, like Paris Hilton, Woody Harrelson, Nelly Furtado, and Emma Roberts.
Wow.
And it's all over the world. It's a bigger audience, a lot of people listening to it, and the spin-off to 20 questions, the game 20 questions. And every person with Down syndrome has that extra chromosome 21. The last question is going to be off of that.
Win. Madison, you're a star. Thank you so much for joining us today and telling us your story. And I can't wait to hear the podcast. And good luck with everything else you're working on. So.
Well, thank you so much for having me on this show, and I'm just so excited that I'll be able to talk with you.
So, with my timekeeping hat on, all I can say, Martin, is thank you so much for coming. And the work is amazing. The way you went about it is fantastic. Madison obviously is the star, but the whole idea of what you're doing is just uplifting and amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.